objectives for 2017 has turned out to be the worst year so far. 2018 is a toss-up. I don't think too many people are too excited. There's limited but cautious optimism, as they say. We've seen a lot of restructurings, judicial management, bankruptcies. We've seen, however, but thank God, the drop in rig utilization and the offshore rig count, at least that seems to have stabilized. The rate of vessels or rigs going off hire, that seems to have stabilized, and now there's even work being done in several regional yards of rigs being cleaned up, painted, blasted, looking for new buyers, and there's some sale and purchase activity happening, as Shell Drilling recently bought 2 rigs in the region. But still, we have surplus capacity in all segments. With the 350 new builds remains a threat to this region as well, because this is where the new vessels and new contracts are expected. Mercifully, thank God, the collective OSV universe has been slow to put in new orders, which is something that we needed. We needed a reprieve. As it was said yesterday, please, no more new builds. And we see a slowdown in the rates of stacking, so fewer and fewer vessels are actually being stacked today. People are hanging on to their vessels, keeping them on standby and ready for any potential spot work. Paradoxically, like I said earlier, we had a demand level of oil which is the highest the world has ever seen at 95 million barrels a day, which is a good sign. The demand is there, it's constant. The real issue today is oversupply, not the oil price and not the demand. Now, to discuss whether we are at this inflection point or not, we have 3 panelists that are going to do a regional update on the 3 regions that have potential to pull us out of the mire that we're in. So we'll start with Jasmine. Jasmine's been one of the leading luminaries in the legal field. She's one of the region's most experienced experts in terms of the offshore and the marine universe. And her company, Ficti & Co, was established in 2005 and has since grown to be one of the Middle East's most influential law firms, achieving numerous landmarks and judgments that have revolutionized legal practice in the country. They've been awarded a raft of prestigious awards, including from Seatrade, Shipping Law Firm of the Year in 2015, and Best Maritime Law Firm, both for 2015 and 16. Jasmine also, as part of her ongoing mission, has been involved as the president of the UAE, founder and the president of the UAE chapter of WISTA, which is the Women's International Shipping and Trading Association. She's the chair of the Dubai Maritime Advisory Council, which advises the Dubai government on improving the shipping's framework, and an editorial board member of the shipping magazine Marasi. Next, we have Captain Ko Chen Tien. He's the chairman of Makami Offshore Saudi Limited. The screen's a little small, so I'll kind of read the rest of it out. Captain Ko is the chairman and has over 30 years of experience in the global oil and gas, offshore and marine industry. Prior to founding Makami Offshore Saudi Limited, Captain Ko served as the executive director of UMV Oil and Gas, responsible for international joint ventures and operations, where he was instrumental in spearheading the growth of UMV Oil and Gas into one of Asia's most successful oilfield service companies, with market presence in China, Malaysia, Brunei, Vietnam, and Thailand. Captain Ko has previously served as a government capacity as a market linker of Malaysia External Trade Development Corporation, MarTrade, where the objective is to increase participation in exports of Malaysian oil and gas companies to the GCC. Captain Ko is an entrepreneur and investor and has directorship positions in several other oil and gas services companies in South Asia and the Middle East. Last but not least, we have Captain Sunil Chaudhary, who is the founder director of CS Offshore, DCC. Sunil has a wealth of in-depth knowledge and over 30 years in the maritime oil and gas industry, leading complex and large organizations in various management positions, involving management, planning, and negotiations to provide the best commercial service and complete solutions to the oil and gas industry. He has taken over responsibility of spearheading the company's strategic efforts while driving its global expansion and ambitious growth plans in Southeast Asia, India, the Indian subcontinent, and West Africa, as well as the Middle East. Sunil is a member of the Nautical Institute, UK, and member of the International Tug and Sailors Association. He has been serving on the board of numerous companies globally and involved in maritime sectors, and the founder director of CS Offshore, which was the recipient of the prestigious Sea Trade Award in 2014 and 2016. He's the Master Mariner from Lal Bahadur Shastri College and Advanced Maritime Studies and Research in India. So with that, we expect to get some now insights into the region. I'd like to start with Jasmine, who'll give you a 5-minute overview of Iran, and then we'll move on to the next panelist. Please.
Thank you so much, Fausto. Thank you for introducing me. I hope you can hear me properly. Thank you. Good morning to all of you, and thank you for coming this early time after the busy sessions yesterday. Speaking about Iran, of course you might wonder why I'm speaking about it. An Iranian from Iran should be sitting here right now. Now, as Fausto was saying, we opened our office in 2005 in Dubai, and in 2006 we have opened an office in Tehran, because in Iran you need the network. You definitely need the network, you need to have the contacts. Then unfortunately with the sanctions rising, we had to close it. With the sanctions lifted, as all of us saw the light at the end of the tunnel, we established our Iran desk back. We're very excited, and most of our clients, that work can start again, and we have still been waiting for that to happen. So what is the situation at the moment? The situation in Iran is dire. The situation in Iran is a state of frustration, because the sanctions have been lifted. The government gave commitments. Everybody thought business goes back to normal, but it simply hasn't. It simply hasn't, and everybody's in a state of wait. And on the first wave was a massive amount of visitors. The planes were full, the hotels were full, and I think the Iranians really deserved it after having been treated for 5, 6, 7 years as citizens second class. They really deserved it. That people came now and said, we want to do the business, we want to re-establish our old relationships. That was a good sign. But then the problem started, and the problem started from two sides mainly. One is, in the Iranian government, there's a lot of hardliners. They made a lot of money during sanctions, and they don't want to let go. Why should they let go? They made very good money. They want to keep the business within the country. So while we were fighting that finally, for example, international insurance companies can come in again, and international insurance companies said, yes, legal gave the go and we can do it. The government would say, no, we established national insurance companies, why don't you stay with them? So on one side, the Iranian companies have to be, I wouldn't say fighting, but have to play a very diplomatic game to opening up to the West again, without being accused of being too friendly to the West from certain hardliners who really established themselves over the past 7 years. And at the same time, we don't have the sanctions, but we have compliance departments and banks. And they are the real enemies of the business at the moment. And they can't help it, but it's just a compliance department has nothing to do with legal. So at the moment, the situation is, with the ease of the sanctions, we got a lot of inquiries from clients. Can we do the business? Can we do the business? And every legal opinion, we started calling them legal and commercial opinion. Because quite often, I think in 90% of our cases, the legal opinion would end up following the US and the UN sanctions. Yes, you can do, but if you are doing it from the Middle East, you might lose your bank accounts will be closed. We had, I think, a minimum of 300 accounts in just one bank that were closed because of Iran connections. The bank sees anything that is related to Iran on your website. We have an Iran affiliation, anything. Or you have any transfer. Forget from Iran, there is no SWIFT at the moment, but you have any kind of transfer where anything with Iran or a ship's name that sounds Iranian, the bank will not even ask you, they will close your accounts without any further discussion. And you can't speak to the compliance department. There is no meeting between you and the compliance department. Decision is made, and that's about it. So that was the biggest problem. And of course, there is still no SWIFT. SWIFT is open, but it's not. So there are no transactions. Now, a few of you will say, yes, there are. Yes, indeed, there are. But they are from certain banks. There are certain banks in Europe. There are certain banks in Switzerland. They do. But it means if you want to do it, the due diligence your company has to do has reached a new hemisphere. This has nothing to do with the normal due diligence you do on KYC or anti-money laundering. This is a due diligence. It goes into the deepest levels because it might cost your license. And of course, we would say to the client, if you have a one-off deal, it's not worth it. Don't even go into it. It's not worth it. Because you have so much hazard to establish a way to get money into the country and get money out of the country. That only makes sense if you have a really long-term good contract. And now the problem, of course, you will go to your Iranian counterpart and say, look, we have so much more efforts, we have so much more costs, we need to come up with a higher freight. But the Iranians will say, what higher freights? I have no money, I want to pay only half. So it stuck there. So again, on the financial side, it's not easy. Once the contract is agreed, getting money out of Iranians, even before the sanction, has never been easy. But now with the sanctions, quite often the Iranian side will say, I'm sorry, I want to pay you, but because of the sanctions, we can't. So again, a lot of companies, they want to do it. They are waiting, they're going there, they're visiting, but they haven't really started. And companies were saying, I want to take serious money in my hand, I want to invest $100+ million, how can I do it? At the moment, legal advice is at the moment still you can't. At the moment, unfortunately, it's still impossible. So that is the general overview.
Thank you, Jasmine. So Iran doesn't seem to be an immediate opportunity for the OSV market from the Middle East.